Data management in a hybrid HPC setting, as we've said, this is probably the hardest part, and the one you want to give the most consideration to. So things to think about, how much data do you need to move? Also, this comes up a lot in like healthcare, life science customers that I work with, but where does your data have to reside? Does it have to be within a region? What compliance do you have to abide by? If you're moving data around, this can have a real impact.
Yeah.
What's your current network performance, particularly with your on-prem environment? If you've got just like a 1 gig link, you may want to reconsider how much you're moving and how you move it. We've got options like Direct Connect to provide a high-speed link, and the big enterprise customers that I work with that are doing hybrid and doing it well. Most of them are running over over Direct Connect. And the other, another one I want to touch on is how to minimize cost. And this comes down to managing data tiers, because I think a lot of people in an on-prem setup, they just kind of assume that their data is always in one place. You've got one large Lustre or GPFS file system. There is one big POSIX place that your applications can access.
Yep.
And it allows people to kind of get a little lazy about their data. This is why, sites have like purge policies where we are going to evict data after 30 days or whatever.
It's a high-risk situation to have all of your data estate all on a single Lustre file system. You have a problem with that file system, it just takes you out. And restoring a 50 or 100 petabyte Lustre file system from backup tapes, that's really not practical.
In the cloud, the other good reason for doing data tiering is cost. Because we have the ability to have multiple tiers of data and bring these up dynamically, that's a way to minimize cost.
Totally.
I have a cryo-AM customer that they have like petabytes of data within an S3 bucket, but because we can link an S3 bucket and a Lustre file system, they only need to keep like a 50 terabyte file system up, and they can stage data in and out and tear down file systems and resize them if they need to. So that's a really good way to minimize costs, but it's going to require some effort and some planning. I want to talk about some of the ways that you can do this, and kind of our big workhorse in terms of moving lots of data is AWS DataSync. The idea behind this is you're going to deploy some agent on premises. Typically, this is like VM or Hyper-V. We actually ship physical appliances for this.
Right.
I had the same raised eyebrow look when I found that out. But most people run this in a VM, and you point it to a network file store. So NFS SMB mount. The agent is constantly monitoring that, and as data comes in, we sync this over a secure tunnel. With DataSync, you can actually deploy multiple agents to increase throughput. But the point is, it's shipped up on the other side in the cloud. We kind of manage the other side, the other agent on the other side of where that's going to go. That data is going to go into S3 or FSX or EFS. We've got options of where it goes. In general, I'm going to recommend people point stuff to S3. It's sort of the good middle ground of where data should land, because it's highly available, it's low cost, it just scales automatically, and from there, we talked about like FSX for Lustre, we can link to that. You can also move this to other tiers of file systems. It's a good starting ground. Some things you want to think about with DataSync. As I said, this is really designed as kind of a mass mover. And so when data hits that on-prem network store, there can be a delay in when it's moved up. Basically, the DataSync agent is running about every hour to move this up. So if you submit a job and you're expecting sort of that immediate transfer to initiate, DataSync is not the option for that. That's not to say that you can't control this at all. There are, like all of our AWS features, there is an SDK or CDK or CLI, and you can actually build out tooling to trigger this. So you could have some sort of event engine or Lambda trigger, depending on your needs, that triggers that sync. But it's something you're going to have to build and configure.
Right.
Yeah. The other option is storage gateway. Now, and we've got a number of different classes of storage gateways. I'm going to focus mostly on the S3 file gateway. The other ones are around like if you want to basically like duplicate tape storage on-prem or like iSCSI volumes, things like that. Most of the time when people are thinking about hybrid HPC, they're talking about transferring files. So,
absolutely.
now, we're actually kind of flipping storage gateway on its head in an HPC setup, because really what storage gateway was designed to do was to present a very large cloud storage as on-prem. But it does syncing, and so we can actually flip it on its head for hybrid HPC. So again, the idea here is it's pointed to some sort of local cache. You drop data into that. That does initiate an immediate transfer. And so again, we could do this. We could bring it up into S3. We could link it to an S3 to an FSX file system, and basically the data is immediately there. This is only a single connection, so you can't scale it like you can with DataSync. This may be a good one if you maybe you don't have a direct connect, or you've got small network connection. You're only going to be moving small amounts of data over. Storage gateway would be a good option for that. It's also one that's going to, if you're going to kind of build out this auto magic data movement as part of your job scheduler submission process.
Yeah.
The other one, so Amazon File Cache was sort of designed to, to address the points I raised around, the mass movement of data sync, but it's not immediate, and that we're sort of flipping storage gateway on its head. The idea here is it's a high performance managed cache. You basically spin up a file cache, point it to an NFS mount on premises, and we do the rest. And
it's a lazy loading.
Yeah.
It's a lazy loading file system. In fact, Amazon File Cache is actually just a Lustre file system. It is an FSX for Lustre kind of appliance file system that is told to go and synchronize with any number of these backends.
Yeah.
And they're NFS v3 backends, another another FSX file system, or S3. And of course, the cache is as fast as you want it to be, because you can architect that essentially. That it's really Lustre geometry, Lustre architecture geometry in there.
So yeah, this is sort of the best of both worlds, and really just it really is that simple. Define a file system, point it at a mount, and go.
Yeah.
It really is a lot easier than what we've dealt with in the past.
And it's cache, so when you're done with it, you just chuck it away.
Yep.
So I mean, the bottom line with data management: understand your workloads and your data movement before you dive into trying to find a solution.
Exactly.
And that's actually hard for a lot of folks to understand, because they've probably never paid attention, because everything's happening on one giant Lustre file system. If you're enjoying these videos, please give us a like and consider subscribing to the channel so that we can keep making more to help you understand how the cloud works, and to show you new ways to help all the scientists and engineers around you who use HPC every day to do amazing things. It's what gets us motivated as well. See you next time.